So before I even start on Noordin Haji, over the weekend I had the privilege of meeting a young man called Jason Mwai, who had just won a 56-hole tournament, playing with adults, and he's just 16 years. I mean, how do you hammer adults and you're just 16 years? I like seeing people who invest in children, and children who are, rising up to the occasion. At a time when we are getting images about a school in Kitui where students go to the field to fast, it's weird that in the same newspaper or in the same news cycle, we are seeing people castigating Shakahola and I don't know, fasting and I don't know what. And then we are tolerating news, and then the headmistress or headmaster of that school, without trying to insult our intelligence, saying, "Oh, it is all voluntary." No, these children are forced into these extreme religious activities. It's religious extremism. And parents, as other people are investing in their children in skills like golf, you are there, allowing them to be misled by stupid teachers of Kagumo, Kilimambogo, Asumbi, KU, Bachelors of Education. These are stupid teachers. You should not allow them to even tell you the direction of which to take your children. So, people are going to reap the benefits differently. If you're investing in Shakahola type religious extremism, you utavuna, and you'll be there looking at your child being in an almost vegetative state, cannot be productive in a world that requires extreme skills, soft skills. Can you imagine now being exposed in a golf environment, the networking opportunities? Man, you start early. Now you are there, you are letting them go in a field to fast. You guys are sick, man. So anyway, back to Noordin Haji. He was immediate former director of public prosecutions. He was vetted and appointed as the head of the National Intelligence Service. Now, before we even get there, we are going to now get the context. The Kenya Kwanza regime, Kenya Kwanza being narcissistic, the attributes and the characteristics of narcissism is people create a crisis and then they seek to deflect attention from their own malfeasance, from their own depravity. They seek to deflect, so they'll never take responsibility. You have seen that trait within your abusive narcissistic partners. So it's not different when it comes to politics, because Kenya Kwanza are blaming everyone else except themselves for instigating these crises that we have today. They don't want to take responsibility, and then also their only solution is communication. We have not communicated well, because they know from the allocations of communications they're going to make a lot of money there. You go here in this media station, you're given an allowance. You remember we saw Mutahi Ngunyi when he was working for Uhuru. He made so much money. He was being paid to the tune of hundreds of millions just for communicating nonsense. Yeah, but they are blaming everyone else. So now the sacrificial lamb they want to make is Noordin Haji. Let's look at this article which was in the media. So there was a parliamentary group meeting apparently with Kimani, Ichungwa, David Ochieng, Sabina, Chege. During the meeting, Kenyan spymaster was accused of failing to provide timely intelligence to counter mass protest. The leaders poured out their frustrations over the recent wave of demonstrations which caught the police flat-footed. The leaders also observed that Kenyans are slowly supporting the cause, a development that was blamed on UDA leaders for aggravating the vacuum by failing to express the masses. So sources in the meeting intimated that the MPs alleged that Haji spends all his nighttime with former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila, and faulted his alleged solution of taming the opposition. Some of the MPs and governors who spoke during the PG threatened to have the spy master removed from office, allegedly for seeking a handshake between President. They don't want anything that will result in peace, consensus. They want antagonism because they thrive in chaos. You understand? So we have to now Noordin Haji is the sacrificial lamb. These guys, they will never take responsibility. So Noordin Haji, he's being turned in the and I'd like to remind Noordin Haji that with the same sword they knight you, the gong will knight you with. These are the people you withdrew their cases. You are in their good books, they loved you, you are their darling, but suddenly now, because they need a sacrificial lamb, then you're going to be the fall guy. This is how politics is. Always be on the side of the truth. Don't be partisan, because the position that you hold is extremely important. But we have to talk about NIS, and when they make such ridiculous allegations, we have to counter them with facts. Let's start with the history of NIS. In the 1800s, the colonial regime of these Muzungus, the Muzungus used to rely on, intelligence gathered from tourists, from missionaries, from traders who used to come in the interior, in the hinterland. That's how and then in 1926, they now formed the CID department, which had what was called the Special Branch, or SB. Now it started formally in 1926, because then they were now migrating and morphing from using local assets like the collaborators and whatever, and now they filled now with colonialists, that special branch. And then in the post-World War, in until 1963, the special branch activities, because it used to be called the dreaded special branch. These guys were animals. Huh? Between 1950 and 1963, then they were really their work was suppressing trade union movements, individuals who were calling for independence, and of course the Mau Mau. Their work was suppressing such sentiment. So they were really extensions of the regime to entrench human rights violations. That was their MO. So Kenyatta came in 1963. He just continued doing the same thing that the colonialists were doing, weaponizing the special branch to now conduct mass atrocities on people. They were located at a place called the Nyati House. Moi continued the same from 1982. They had all the time, there were all these people in unmarked cars following people. That was the special branch. From 1982, they actually became a tool of oppression. But in 1998, because of hue and cry from Kenyans, they said that these and the MPs at the time, they said that this outfit had outlived its usefulness. So in 1998, it was changed. So it moved from being special branch, a department under the Kenya Police, and now they became an independent entity called National Security Intelligence Service. They acquired that name briefly. In 1999, former President Moi appointed a lady called Pamela Mboya, who used to work in UN Habitat, to create and formed a commission to now work on the terms of reference for this new outfit, NSIS. Pamela Mboya now worked on things like security of tenure, that no Director General of NIS can be intimidated like they're trying to intimidate Noordin Haji with threats of his removal. So there was that commission that was formed, and it was briefly called NSIS before it became NIS. So that is you need to understand that NSIS is very independent, and they are trying to deflect attention from their own inadequacies. They create a problem and then they start shielding. So that's why now their target is now Noordin Haji. But we are too smart to be consuming that kind of news. And then now we have people who are touting, war does not announce its arrival, and then they are sharing memes, be careful and whatever. No, who is at war here? Nobody's at war. When you in a situation of civil war, civil unrest, there has to be an antagonist and a protagonist. There has to be warring sections of the population, be it based on tribal, ethnic, religious. There has to be all of that. But this is not one of those instances. We are all united. They are losing sleep. They don't want to believe, they don't want to fathom that Kenyans can unite around a common cause. And the common cause is what? Bring down the cost of living. It's as simple as that. Nobody wants to go to war. Nobody wants to ruin a perfectly functioning country. You think that is the narrative you're trying to sell. And that is why you're seeing now they've mobilized. They're going there, Dindinyoro saying, oh, nothing. No, We are all united. Some may not come out, some may not protest, some may not be on the streets, but the sentiment is united across the board, across the entire country, transcends religious, ethnic, geographical affiliation. So get with the program.